Aztecs beat New Mexico before a frenzied crowd dressed in black on blackout night at Viejas Arena. Hello and welcome to Aztecs All In, the podcast that goes all in on San Diego State sports. Louis Weiner here along with Steve Perez. And Steve, the Aztecs get another huge conference win.
And hello to you, Louis. It was a big win for the Aztecs tonight, but the games just keep getting bigger from here on out.
Coming up on this edition of Aztecs All In, a back-and-forth second half, but the Aztecs show their resilience in a big win over New Mexico.
Earlier in the week, the men's basketball team came mighty close, too close some might say, to breaking a much-cherished streak at home at the hands of the Colorado State Rams. Hams? Should that be hooves? Whatever they have, we'll have the tails coming up.
And we'll introduce you to the We Believe Network, now providing media content in connection with the Aztec Link NIL Collective. But Steve, we start with the Aztecs' 81-70 win over New Mexico, their 20th win of the season against just 6 losses, and a huge, gigantic conference win. The Aztecs are now 9-4 in conference play, with a battle for first place set for Tuesday night at Utah State in Logan. This one started out a lot differently than the game earlier in the week against Colorado State, which we'll talk about a little later, when the Aztecs found themselves down early 17-3. In this one, they took their first lead at 14-12 and never looked back, but it was not easy. The Lobos just wouldn't go away. The Aztecs won despite turning the ball over 20 times, but New Mexico nearly matched them with 19 turnovers of their own. They pretty much canceled each other out, with New Mexico scoring 26 points off turnovers and the Aztecs scoring 25. But when it came to delivering the ball to their playmakers, the Aztecs were outstanding, with 20 assists for the game, including 6 from Myles Byrd. Jaden Ledee led the Aztecs in scoring with 23 points. Lamont Butler had 13, and Elijah Saunders added 12 off the bench in his best offensive showing of the year. The Aztecs led by 11 at halftime, but had trouble shaking the Lobos in the second half. Jalen House led New Mexico with 22 points, but their other really good guard, Jamal Mashburn Jr., managed just 2 points on 1 of 10 shooting. It was a game of runs in the second half, but every time New Mexico got close, the Aztecs had an answer. When the Lobos got within 4 at 47-43, the Aztecs responded with a 9-0 run to make it 56-43, their biggest lead of the game. But within just 33 seconds of game time, the Lobos somehow scored 8 straight points. First, Mustafa Anzal was fouled shooting a 3. He made all 3 shots. Myles Byrd turned the ball over. Donovan Dent scored and was fouled for another 3-point play. And then Lamont Butler turned the ball over, fouled Donovan Dent, who made both free throws. And suddenly it's 56-51. And moments later, it was a 3-point game at 58-55. But the Aztecs responded with a 15-4 run of their own, highlighted by an Elijah Saunders highlight reel that included 2 threes and a monster jam with an assist from Myles Byrd, and all of a sudden it was 68-59. The Lobos got to within 6, but no closer than that the rest of the way, as the Aztecs win 81-70. After the game, I asked Coach Brian Dutcher about that back-and-forth second half. Coach, you talked about the game of runs. Talk about the resilience your team showed. New Mexico got within 3. I think they scored 8 points in like 45 seconds.
Yeah, they take advantage of turnovers. I mean, you turn the ball over, it's a layup. So the fact that we turned it over 20 times and still were able to win is a bit of a miracle. But we withstood. I mean, we've always been a next play mentality team. You know, we'll have plenty of time to watch tape on Sunday when we get back together and correct things, but when you're playing, you can't sit there and obsess over every mistake or you're not ready to make the next play. So we just try to move on to the next play. Whether we make a mistake or not, it's a next play mentality, and I think the team's getting better at that. It's always easy to say as a coach, next play, and hard to do because as a player, you're frustrated by a call or you don't touch the ball or your guy beats you and then you're mad over that, and you have to move on beyond that instantly so that offense, then you're not where you're supposed to be and compound mistakes. So we try to have a next play mentality, and the guys are getting better at that.
Coach Dutcher also talked about how happy he was that everybody who played, both the starters and the guys off the bench, contributed one way or another, and that was a big reason the team was able to respond to all of those New Mexico runs.
You kept waiting for them to make the run because you know how talented they are. And when they finally made it, we were able to withstand it, and that was really, really fun to watch. And Elijah Saunders, I mean, he hit critical threes for us in that stretch. And unafraid, he stepped up, he was open, he let it go, and those were important baskets he made. And we knew they were, dangerous on the break. We didn't want to give them fast breaks, so we did a decent job at that. We still turned the ball over 20 times, but their defense is tough. They put a lot of pressure on you. But we had 20 assists on 29 baskets, which is really good. We held them to 30-some% shooting from the field. We shot in the 50s. Rebounding is always an issue with them. Toppin's one of the best rebounders in the conference, if not the best. And I think he had 16 rebounds the first time we played him, and he had 7 offensive rebounds this game. So he's a dynamic rebounder, and we worked all weekend trying to hit him, keep a body on him, and keep him off the glass, but he is relentless.
So the Aztecs win their 19th straight home game, which is now the third longest streak in program history. And one other fun fact, Steve, Coach Dutcher now has at least 20 victories in all 7 seasons as head coach.
Lewis, it was like old times with the Lobos coming to town, and so much on the line. The Aztecs probably still seething just a bit from that 18-point beatdown at the pit January 13 in Albuquerque, and both teams jostling for position near the top of the Mountain West. The regular season conference games are getting fewer, and into the Viejas madhouse comes a dangerous team led by their show pony, the Lobos' Jalen House. He sets the tone with an opening 3, and he has words for everyone in the arena. Toward end of the first half, after sinking a 3-pointer, he does his prom queen wave to the crowd. "Hello, my subjects. Bring it on," he seems to say. He does bring energy and showbiz to his game. It is not my cup. I'm more of a let your playing do the talking kind of guy, but hey, I'm sure they love him in New Mexico, and I would love him on my team. Dutch diplomatically calls him a dynamic player. The guys on the team try to stick to their own games and not get sucked into his antics. For the Aztecs' part, it's all part and parcel of his game. For the Aztecs, it's a big win, though, against a team that came in with a 4-game winning streak on the road. Their most recent against Nevada, a team the Aztecs were unable to best in overtime, you might recall. Even with the loss to the Aztecs, you got to put the Lobos among the better teams on the road in the Mountain West. It wasn't an easy game. House got his points, 22. He even picked up some more TV time trying to get his coach, Richard Pitino, from giving the refs what was left of his mind after he voiced displeasure with the officiating and got teed up. But the other guards that make up the Lobos' dynamic trio had subpar nights for them, and for that you have to credit the Aztecs' defense. Instead of trying to out-rebound them, the scheme was to send 3 guys back on defense that prevented the Lobos' fast break game from ever getting started. It sounds simple, but it was not. Darion Trammell fouled out late, battling House most of the night. Jay Powell led the Aztecs in rebounds with 7. He was able to stay in the game despite amassing 4 fouls, but the Aztecs held Jamal Mashburn Jr. to just 2 points on the night. He only scored on their final possession on a 1-for-10 night. Donovan Dent had a quiet 11 points below his season average of 15. Overall, the Aztecs held the Lobos to 35% shooting. Finally, you have to like how the 2 sophomores play when they were on the court. Roommates Myles, Byrd, and Elijah Saunders. They were on the court during a big run in the first half for the Aztecs, and then in the second half, Saunders led a kind of mini run of his own after the Lobos drew within 5 points with 6:35 left. Saunders contributed all 8 of the Aztecs' points on an 8-2 run, 2 from 3-point range, and a one-handed dunk on the fast break no-look alley-oop by his roomie, one of Byrd's 6 assists on the night. Saunders and Byrd talk about that sequence and the rest of their night. Byrd especially a big night on D with 4 block shots from the wing position. Saunders also gets into his new role of coming off the bench in this compilation.
We were struggling, to be honest. I think it was only a 5-point game at one point. So, we were just patient through it, knowing that, we got to run on the way. Thanks to Myles for throwing me that lob. But I hadn't hit a 3 before that. But, these past couple of games, I've just been trying to have a clear head while playing, not thinking about shots I missed or, bad things I did. So just trying to keep level-headed and, knowing that good things are coming.
I got the steal, and I seen it was me, Amsdale, and Elijah running. I seen someone behind Elijah, but I knew Amsdale was either going to commit to me or Elijah, and when I seen that he took a little step forward towards me, I just threw it in the air. I knew Elijah was going to dunk it. I mean, I'm 6'7" with almost a 7-foot wingspan, and out there I'm guarding guards that are shorter than me, so, just using length. Jay Powell does a good job at the big spot. He gets a lot of blocks over there, but for me, just getting in the run and knowing that even if they beat me, I have opportunity to go get it just because of my length. So, staying with plays.
Being able to come off the bench, I kind of get to watch the game a little and get a feel for it before I have to go in. And I know going in with probably going in with Myles, who's bringing energy, so I got to match that as well. So it's just I feel a lot more relaxed coming off the bench. Coach Dutcher made the decision after we lost to Colorado State that a change needed to be made, and that was what was best for the team. So it's worked out for us. Jay Powell's been amazing in the starting lineup, making plays all over the floor. And then, I feel like the guys that come off the bench, we bring a good energy, a change of pace, just like the guys last year. Watching those guys come off the bench, Micah, Jaden, AG, Seiko, just trying to bring that energy just like they do.
Everybody has a role in this team, and this year that is my role, to be the energy guy and to, get a second chance opportunity on a steal or opportunities like that. So, I'm just trying to fill my role to the best of my abilities.
The Aztecs were actually out-rebounded 32-33 by the Lobos, an excellent rebounding team, and committed one more turnover than the Lobos. But it's a team game, Lewis. 20 assists for the Aztecs, just 6 for the visitors. Every Aztec who played scored points, grabbed rebounds, and Lobos had 2 guys who saw time but did not score. 4 others, like Mashburn, scored 2 or 3 points. The Aztecs next travel to Logan Tuesday for a game against the conference leaders, Utah State, taking on Colorado State this weekend. We're down to 5 games left in the regular season. 3 of them are on the road. The Aztecs travel to Logan Tuesday, and then Thursday a road game against Fresno State. After that, it's UNLV later on, March 5th. They are 2-4 on the road, and Dutch told San Diego Sports AM 760 they have yet to find that winning formula for that big road win, so we shall see. The game against the Aggies will be without the benefit of the best home crowd on the West Coast. But the Aztecs are improving as the season progresses, Lewis. That, as you know, is a program hallmark.
You're right, Steve. That seems to be the case every season. And you talked about the Aztecs struggling on the road. It had been the opposite for New Mexico. New Mexico had won 4 straight games on the road, all Mountain West Conference play, and that's its longest streak since it won 5 straight back in 2016.
Lewis, it's time now for one of our patented and copyright Aztec All In lookbacks. This one where we both look back at the win earlier in the week against Colorado State University. This point in the season, they are all crucial games, fewer to this point than this game against a team that did a number on them at Fort Collins in January. Aztecs dropped that one 79-71, one of 4 road losses this year to Mountain West opponents. And the way this one started out, Aztecs looked as if they would drop their first home game against a conference foe and really put themselves in deep sand in the conference standings, and perhaps more important, conference tournament seedings. Instead, they preserve a couple of key streaks, 34 straight at home after a loss, and one of the best active home win streaks in the nation at that point, 18 after the CSU result. First period, the Rams led 17-3 in the early going. They were shooting 57% from the field, 50% from downtown. They had a 14-point margin in the first period. Aztecs hampered by the loss of Jaden Ledee to foul trouble. He picked up his second at the 9:31 mark, cooled his heels, while the Rams went to town and scored the last 3 buckets of the half. Second half, of course, much improved with the big forward in the lineup. Here's how Colorado State's head coach Nico Medved saw it. Medved even told the crew from Learfield on Rams radio network that obviously his guys did match the Aztecs physically during their momentous comeback, led by Ledee.
Ledee's a load. We wanted to try to get to fronts on him and adjust, and Joe Palmer was able to do it, but none of our other bigs were, and that's really frustrating to me that like a 6'4" guy could come in and get to a front and our other guys couldn't, and that was frustrating too. But again, if we offensive rebound the ball a little bit better and we're able to get out and transition and attack, maybe it's different. But obviously one of the poorest halves we've played.
Yeah, it was. Aztecs picked up the scoring in period 2, led by Ledee, who started getting the Rams bigs in foul trouble. Still, it wasn't until just under 10 minutes left that the home team took its first lead since the game's opening minutes on a free throw by Jay Powell, who also had an active night on the boards with 7 rebounds. Medved was so hacked off by the officiating shortly after. You know the drill by now. Calls that don't go your way when you're on the road and the home crowd is in full throat. Anyways, Medved drew a technical foul. Rams just 3 of 25 in the second half. They lost a key player in Joel Scott, who fouled out. Another big, Rasham Mbemba, also fouled out in 11 minutes of play. A third big got hurt. And Coach Dutcher told the guys at the half they had to be mentally tough and forget everything that went wrong in the first half. Right, Lewis?
Steve, it was deja vu all over again for the Aztecs during the first few minutes of Tuesday night's game against Colorado State. When the teams met on January 30th in Colorado Springs, the Rams blew the Aztecs off the court during the first 7 minutes, and before Aztecs fans could settle in for what they hoped would be a fun and exciting game, Colorado State had a 17-4 lead. Well, surely that wasn't going to happen again against the Rams, was it? Well, think again. At Viejas, the Rams started off scorching hot, hitting 4 straight threes and 5 of their first 6 before the Aztecs knew it even hit them. And this time they were down 17-3, not even 5 minutes into the game. From that point on, the Aztecs were able to keep it close enough in the first half to give themselves a chance. Twice the Aztecs got within 6, but CSU ended the first half on a 14-6 run to lead by 14 at the half, 44-30. So what exactly happened in that first half? Well, after the game, Jaden Ledee said they got hit in the mouth. Well, they hit right back in the second half, holding Colorado State to just 11 second-half points and outscoring them by 30. Remarkably, the Rams still led by 1 at the 9:48 mark, 52-51. But from that point on, the Aztecs went on a wild and crazy 19-3 run, holding the Rams to just 1 of 19 shooting during the final 16 minutes of the game. After that game, Coach Brian Dutcher was asked if it was the best half of basketball he's ever coached.
It's close to it. I mean, I don't know if I've coached. I'm sitting there watching. It's one of the best I've seen. So the guys played hard. They played hard as heck. And I had the best seat in the house to see it. So there's not a lot have to be said when they're playing like that. You don't have to coach a lot. When they're playing at maximum efficiency, then you're just like everybody else. You sit back and enjoy how your team's playing. And I did. I enjoyed how hard they played and how well they played together.
Coach, is this rare? A Jekyll and Hyde game as such. The first half, nothing went right. The second half, nothing could go wrong. How hard is that to do?
It's really hard on the road. If you got a chance, it's at home. And that's what I told them. We got a chance because we're at home. And the crowd will get behind us, and it's hard to play in here. And it would have been harder on the road. And we did it on the road at their place. We were down 14, came back and took a lead, but they had the home crowd behind them, and they had back-to-back baskets, and we failed to score, and they created the separation. Here, we just continued to ride the wave of momentum created by our play and our home crowd. When you're on the road in this conference, that's what you're going to have to deal with. And there's times we have trouble with it. I mean, Nevada was loud. I think it was the 6th largest crowd they've ever had. Colorado State was sold out. The pit is incredible. So the Mountain West is hard to win on the road. And a lot of it's because we have great fan bases. The best in the West, no doubt about it. You're playing in front of full houses in this league. And so when you get some momentum and the home crowd gets behind you, it's so loud the team can't hear their coaches. It's harder to communicate. And then you try to press harder to stay in the game, and pressing harder is not always the right thing to do. It's playing better execution, but we had them pressing a little bit in the second half, and I think the crowd was a big part of that.
So, Steve, we've been talking a lot about Aztec Link since last June when J.R. Tolver came on and talked about his involvement with Aztec Link. And Aztec Link is expanding. It's now officially partnering with San Diego State, and there's a lot involved with that, including something called the We Believe Network, which is connecting student athletes and alumni through content creation. And that's something new that just started over the past month. And I'm happy to have with us Austin Bolton, who's involved with We Believe Network. Austin, thanks for joining me today. Tell me a little about what your involvement is and what We Believe Network is.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lewis. I appreciate it. We Believe Network, I mean, at the most simplistic term is that we are Aztec Link's version of ESPN, right? Like, we are there to provide news, we're there to provide content, and then in return for your subscription dollars for that content, we will then reinvest those subscription dollars into NIL opportunities for the student athletes across San Diego State's student athlete, teams across all sports.
So if you're a member of Aztec Link, are you already a member of the We Believe Network?
Yeah, that's right. So we did create a We Believe Network tier that's $6.99, and that's We Believe Network access only. So there's none of the other perks that come with the Spear, Warrior, and Shield memberships that come with Aztec Link. But if you are one of those upper tiers, you are included. The We Believe Network is included in those subscriptions. And when we first started up here 6 weeks ago, we sent out a mass invite to everybody that's already an Aztec Link member, so that way they were able to get on the platform immediately.
Yeah, and that's how I signed up. I'm a Spear member, as is my partner, Steve Perez, and we've been involved. For matter of fact, he joined before I did the Aztec Link, and for a few weeks, he was sort of bugging me, hey, have you joined yet? And I finally did. Real quick.
Well, we all need friends like Steve, because we need all the help and all the word of mouth and all the grassroots, all of that. So I'm glad to hear it.
So tell me a little bit about your connection with Aztec Link and JR. How did that come about?
Yeah. So I guess I'll start from the beginning with the We Believe Network. So I should have mentioned, I also co-host a podcast called the Aztec Breakdown Podcast, which is a deep dive into Aztec men's basketball. And we dabble in football a little bit. And at the Final Four, one of our co-hosts, Kyle Kinslow, who is also a co-host of Aztec Breakdown, and some of us were sitting there like, man, like, we really wanted to grow into more of the grassroots side of things. Kind of like, I know that everybody's going big game hunting on some of the donations and the investment and that side of things, but there seemed to be a real opportunity on the grassroots side. And to Kyle Kinslow's credit, and thanks to him, he kind of put the bat signal out and said, hey, we are trying to, we are looking to be more grassroots. We want to find ways to help in the NIL space. Who is interested in helping? And, I we worked with him there, and Ignite Visibility, Krish and Oscar over Ignite Visibility really help us develop the We Believe Network, kind of the mission, the logo, the name. Like, we really went through a process there. And as we were developing that, kind of concurrently, my wife, Carly House, she is a fundraiser that's her profession. And her uncle was the associate head coach and defensive line coach at San Diego State back when she started in school. So she actually emailed JR and said, hey, love to help you with the fundraising side. My uncle Jim House was a coach back in the day when you played on the team. How can I help? JR is like, absolutely. We need all the help we can get, really trying to widen the tent. So as we were doing these things, I kind of kept hearing about the different opportunities, how the flags were being planted in the ground. And I asked Carly, I was like, would JR be interested in, bringing this idea under the Aztec Link umbrella? Because, this could really help grow the tent, widen the tent, and really be additive to what they're trying to do at Aztec Link. And so we brought them the idea, we pitched them the idea, and they were all for it. And, that's kind of where we're at right now.
So tell me a little bit about what people can expect when they go to the We Believe Network. You're talking about content creation. So this is content that is created specifically for the San Diego State sports fans. So what type of content are we talking about?
Yeah, so we really have kind of we have a handful of layers of content. So the stuff that we're creating is really around the student athletes. Like, what can we do to bring the student athletes closer to the fans? So we've already started with the We Believe Players podcast, where we've interviewed a handful of players. We went out to Kyle Crum's workout that he does. He coaches youth football players. So just shining a light on work that they're doing there. We've also done, Kyle's also hosting his own podcast that we're posting through the We Believe Network and interviewing teammates and, other student athletes. And really, it's just fully focused on the student athletes and just shining a light on them. And it may not even be like, obviously Kyle didn't play a ton last year with Jalen Maiden. And, we really just want to give every student athlete an opportunity. If they have an idea and they want to bring it to us, or we have an idea for them, just to shine a light on them. Another example is, we had Sarah Barcelo from the women's basketball team. She loves music. I saw that on her Open Doors profile. I was like, hey, how about you share your love of music with the fan base, create a playlist, and everybody can just have an idea of what you like to listen to, and just real ways for people and for alumni and fans to get to know the student athletes. Like that's what we're aiming for there. And then the other angle to this is that I am personally curating every piece of San Diego State content that I can find on the internet, and I'm handpicking it and so that way it's all on one feed. But there are ways for algorithms to pick it up and kind of do it for you, but there's so much AI generated gambling content out there that it would fill the feed with a bunch of garbage. So instead of doing that, I'm literally going and finding every little piece that a San Diego State fan would find interesting, putting it on one feed, including the Aztecs All In podcast. It's something I never, I always put on there. Aztec Breakdown, Sons of Monty, John Schaefer, San Diego Union Tribute, whatever it is, putting that in one spot. So if, say you're not a huge diehard, but you want to spend $6.99 a month or whatever on NIL, with NIL dollars, you could be riding the trolley over and be like, man, what have I missed? Boom, there's everything on there. There's some NIL content from the players, the student athletes that we've done work with. And it's really just the one-stop shop, everything San Diego State Aztecs. That's what we're trying to do.
So if people want to get involved in the We Believe network, what do they have to do?
So just go to WeBelieveNet.com. There's a sign-up page there. So that's the easiest way. Go ahead and subscribe to one of our tiers. If you are looking to tangibly help in some way, we're looking for content curators. We're looking for video editors. If you're a student JMS and you're looking to get into writing and journalism, I'd love to hear from you and have you write some stuff for us. There's a million ways. Subscribing is obviously the easiest, and that's the one that comes out. Those subscriptions come out every month. But we can put plenty of people to work. Like I said, everybody at Aztec Link, everybody at We Believe Network is a volunteer, and the more people that we can get in to grow the tent, I think the better. And the great thing about the We Believe Network is that we're providing something of tangible value, right? Like that's really our biggest goal. And if you can't afford the $6, that's okay, because we can use the value that you provide us, because our whole goal is just providing value to everybody that's involved. And so if you have an idea, bring it over. If you want to subscribe, great, please do. We love your contributions, but we're open to anything.
Well, there you go. Every little bit helps. Austin Bolton, We Believe Network. Thank you so much for talking about the whole process and what's going on, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Lewis. Thank you for having me.
Austin Bolton, ladies and gents, remember that name, and of course remember Aztec Link and the We Believe Network. Love his Big Tent attitude, and thank you, Austin, for the Aztecs All In shout-outs. And thank you, Lewis, for bringing Mr. Bolton's efforts, along with those of Aztec Link and the We Believe Network, to all of us. And so that wraps up another fun and entertaining, we hope, edition of Aztecs All In. Remember, you can follow us on the X, Aztecs_all_in. And you can drop us a note at gmail.com. That address, aztecsallin@gmail.com. So, for Lewis Weiner, I'm Steve Perez saying we will talk to you very soon.